I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about a project that I have in the back of my mind. And it's about making what I would call a discussion group to talk about life. And it's a little hard to just talk about life. You can be all over the map. So my intention is to present a verbal model, or a model of how life unfolds, and then look at different angles of that model and see if it works or see where it doesn't work, and see if maybe it really could make a difference. And a discussion group sounds like we're going to get together and talk, but we can't really get together. Even us local friends, we're not really on a lockdown. In this country, I live in Thailand, but restaurants, coffee shops, and places are closed. Well, they're takeout only, so you're not really can sit around a table and discuss things. Anyhow, I want to talk about, or talk with people from all over the world, basically, and so then having a discussion in real time won't be possible. And what is possible is reading and writing. And for me, reading and writing makes a big difference on developing my thinking and developing my life. And could be that just talking could be helpful too, or going to conferences and listening. But I think just listening or just reading without writing isn't really penetrating as much as it could be. So, well, let's just start reading something. So I'm going to talk about a verbal model of life, and let's just read it. It means your life unfolds through what you think and what you say to yourself and others. So yourself, we call that self-talk. We're always saying something to ourselves, which means that we're explaining things. And we explain everything, and we explain everything we do, let's say, and then everything we don't do, we make an excuse about it, so then we explain that too. Right now, I'm proposing this discussion group, and I'm not really trying to dig too deeply into what I would be talking about, or what I want, what I hopefully the group will get into. But I do want to present a few ideas, maybe to entice you to explore this further. And basically there's two kinds of ideas, and one is, let me ask you, I mean, are you a finished piece? What makes us who we are? And did we stop growing somewhere along the line, or do we stop investigating, or how did we wind up being this way? So that's a term that I want to talk about. So how you wound up being. It means that the beliefs that you assimilated concerning yourself and the world, and others, of course. And there's a connotation that it wasn't really a rational process. I just say how you wound up being. How you wound up being. It wasn't a considered choice so much as a happenstance. And so then, does that open a possibility that how you wound up being could be expanded, and maybe could keep on being expanded? And we have these ideas that basically run our society in the West. One way to say it is, don't fix anything if it isn't broken. So what does that mean? Like, don't fix your life unless it's really broken. What does broken mean? It means it hurts. You know, you're complaining more and more and more, and finally you complain so much it's just untenable. And so then you have to do something about it. Is that a good way to run life? Because so much of your life is just the building up of these complaints, and you have this idea that just keep doing what I'm doing, and yeah, the complaints, they must be inevitable, or gee, you could find fault, right? Someone else is doing it to me. You know, that's a real luck of living in Thailand, or living not in your country of birth, because everything I do in Thailand is my choice. I'm free. And if you're living in the land of your birth, that's not your choice. That was your parents' choice. And maybe not much of anything is your choice. It depends on how you look at it. So what we want to do is to find out more and more how to implement our choice. So then, besides talking about how I wound up being, we also want to talk about something about the future. So what is the future? The future is a word. It's not a thing. It's just an idea. It's a germ of an idea. The future is a conversation. So then we need to talk about the future, because that's how your life unfolds. Okay, now it's today, and then tomorrow, what's going to happen? Am I the cause of the matter? Am I the cause of tomorrow? Do I say, no, it's just my circumstances that are the cause of tomorrow? Well, let's look at a few more terms and see what we could come up with here. This one's a beauty, because windows of possible choices, window of possible choices. It means your contact with what is opened or closed by your belief structures. So that's all you can choose from what you believe. The connotation is our sense organs are a smaller percentage of our conscious contact. Conscious contact just means like, oh, my senses. You know, I'm conscious, that means I'm awake. My senses are operating, so I see, I hear, I smell, I feel, and that's how I relate to actually myself and others in the world. And so the connotation is, again, that our sense organs are a smaller percentage of our conscious contact, and our interpretations, internal interpretations, are the larger percentage of our conscious contact. Because it's just how we're saying it. It means your contact with what is opened or closed by belief structures. If your sense organs were the majority of your conscious contact, then belief structures would have very little to do with how you perceive reality. So we're saying that so much of today depends on yesterday, because my belief structures were built yesterday. So let me take another look at another terminology here and see what we come up with. Neural patterns of action. Okay, this is the beauty, because it's like instinct in animals. Animals have neural patterns of action, and so they do the same thing when they're presented with a certain problem. If they're threatened, they fight, they run, fight, flight, or freeze. There's rituals around mating, and their whole life is instinct. It's neural patterns that are fixed in their brain. Well, people have neural patterns of action also, because there's no time in an emergency to think about it or look for choices or make a decision. So that neural patterns of action mean that it's a by now default pattern that is already networked together with stored neural patterns of a way of being and acting. And the connotation is that without conscious intervention, if I don't examine these default patterns, these are default behaviors that will always automatically be presented to every tense situation. So that it means that I live my life by rote because that's how my brain is built. I've got stored neural patterns. A lot of people say you're hardwired this way or that way, but I don't agree with that. It's just hardwiring just means you haven't examined what you're doing. And so if we say we're hardwired, well, we're a finished case, so we might as well retire, you know. So by examining, then you can see, make a decision, change your neural pattern, and at least you should bring into question, like, why do I always do the same thing in such a situation? Well, it's like certain people are addicted to anger, or they're kind of depressed, or they run away and they play takeaway, they get out of the situation, and they're escapers. So I'm not saying those are wrong strategies. Maybe they're good at certain times, but if you're doing it every time, then that's going to put a color on your life. That's going to shape your life in a certain way, and it's going to make your possibilities limited in that way. It's what we said a little while ago, that how did we say that? That your conscious contact is open or closed by your belief structures. So these are belief structures. All of our belief structures are made yesterday. So then we have this lens. We used to believe that life went slow enough that yesterday's parameters were good enough for today. But, well, I'm not so sure about that anymore. So let's see where we want to go from here. This one is called The Future We Are Living Into. Future we are living into. What does it mean? It means that what we're doing today is going to be the cause of what happens tomorrow. So that because we're doing today what we did even yesterday and last year, well, tomorrow is going to have a really familiar ring to it. So it's the future that we're living into. It means that the default unexamined neural patterns are presenting today the same being and action that produced today out of yesterday. The connotation is tomorrow is going to be the mirror image of today, and the mirror image of yesterday, and the mirror image of last year. Yeah, sure, we do sometimes do things and make a change, but isn't it like I mentioned earlier that we believe in hands-off until it really just gets unbearable? And well, it's not so bad, you know, I can take it. I complain a lot, I can blame it on other people. Yeah, those people are bad, I got to move out of here. But let's take the situation in our own hands and see if we can be the cause of our tomorrow in a certain way. Okay, now you can say cause of the matter. There's so many external factors, how could I possibly be the cause of the matter? But within those external factors, I am the cause of what I do. How do I cope with those external factors? Am I the cause of that, or is it just a hands-off probability that where I just blame the outside and say I can't do anything about it? Okay, well, let's go from here. Now this one is very important. The future exists only as a possibility. I was saying before, future is just a word. It doesn't exist. It's just a thought, like tomorrow. Okay, it's going to be, there's going to be a tomorrow, and it's going to be pretty well known, and that's what we're complaining about here, or what we're proposing that we could investigate. Why is tomorrow so much like today? Because we're doing the same thing today that we did yesterday, that produced today, and so therefore we're producing tomorrow in the same mode. So let's just look at it. All futures exist only as a possibility. As such, they are construed in language. Constituted is what I wrote. It is exactly the fact that the future is constituted in language that it can be transformed from the default future that we are presently living into. That's what I said before, we're living into a future by what we're doing and what we're saying and what we're thinking. And transform that into an opportunity for a future that wasn't going to happen, which is a created future. So we're not all that futuristic, or we're not planning on making a new business or have a business plan, but we want to be involved in how our life unfolds. And so then from that we have to discuss a future and discuss where are the options, what are the options, what are the handles where we can grab a hold, and what can we do to live a future, make a few changes in the way we want things to turn out. Okay, it's not only about how things turn out, but it's also how we feel about the things that are going to turn out. And if we feel depressed about it, or if we feel resigned about it, then something, our full creativity isn't in gear. So how are we going to be the author of our emotional content? And that's really a big part of what I want to discuss in our groups, if we can get one going. And that's one of the facets or a doorway into a creative future, is also creating your emotion, and at least not suppressing, let's say, how should I say it, don't go where emotion is disempowering, and learn how to not go there. And why not? That's the method of the verbal model that I'm working with. So then all futures exist only as a possibility. That is really great because it's just a conversation. So let's see what kind of a conversation it is. It's called a realm of possibility. In other words, anytime you do something or work with something, you have to have a vocabulary around that something. Even if you're an industrialist or work on machines or work on industrial processes, you have to have a whole vocabulary of how that machine works, and what are the parameters that make it better, and what are the constraints that make it not work. And so it's called realm of possibility, and we have to create a realm of possibility that's not only based on yesterday's realm of possibility. So it opens up a space for inventing, exploring, examining, considering, discussing, and aligning on a new action. And the connotation is the beauty, It's a verbal vehicle created by humans, a mental space allowing something that we intend. So that human is me and you. We want to create some realms of possibilities that will empower us to live a future and live a life and unfold our life and keep growing. And okay, now here's a good one. Future that's not an authentic possibility, because we tend to believe, oh, we have free will and we can do anything. And whatever we put our mind to, we can do it. But now I'm offering an idea that says that there is such a thing as a future that is not an authentic possibility. So that, what does it mean? That prevailing realm of possibility, we talked of a realm of possibility before, does not call into effective action that which or those whom are required to act in order to realize that future. So our realm of possibility that prevails from yesterday is not calling into effective action that which is needed to make the future that we dream that we can do. So it's a future that's not an authentic possibility. I'll go right to another one here. Free will as an illusion. Because we think that, okay, we can do anything. We have free will. And because of that, we say, well, when it gets bad tomorrow, I'll change, because I have the free will. And what if I don't have the free will tomorrow? And that's what I'm saying, is that free will can be an illusion. And it means that when your verbal context, the realm of possibility, does not call into effective action that which is required to realize that future, you do not have free will to create it. So you have free will to create a future if you build it from the ground up. You have to build it with a realm of possibility. You have to make a verbal space that realizes, oh, this could be a possible outcome. And if you have a belief structure that the way the world works, something like that will never happen, well, of course, you're not going to go into it. And so then free will is dependent on working with language and seeing what we want and seeing a new context where what we want could be a possibility. So free will can be an illusion. Okay, let's talk about the conditions in the situation, because normally we just say, well, what are the facts? Okay, but the facts, it's more than just the facts. The facts are what you can determine by investigation. But the conditions also include the outcomes that you see as possible. It's just built on your worldview, your frame of reference. What shows up as possible options and what shows up as possible actions for realizing these outcomes. And the connotation is that each situation is limited and shaped by the context of what we said before, the future which one is already living into. Today we're living into a future because we're doing what we did yesterday, because we believe that, we excuse it. We're just saying, we're doing what we did yesterday because all those outside forces are still acting on us and we just have to bear it. And so then it's not, I won't say it's not going anywhere, it's going exactly where it went yesterday. And so life just takes a kind of unexciting pause, stasis. Yeah, you can go out to dinner if the restaurants are still open. They're not today. And you can meet a friend or drink a wine or something like that. But anyhow, that gets pretty repetitive. Let's see. I think I got one more place I want to go, and let's check it out. Transformation. So then what we want is transformation. So in transformation, we examine the validity of what we already know. Here's what I think I know. Is it true? And in what way is our knowing constraining, shaping, or distorting our skills and our cognitive capacities? And those cognitive capacities and skills that would otherwise have been available to us, but somehow what we know is perhaps constraining these things, and that's kind of a way that we can dig into our life and see, let's just get it unstuck and get it moving and start slow. And we don't need to take risks, but we can just start with very simple things, just our family, well, ourselves, our family, our neighbors, our community, local area, how we relate to another person. And we'll just see, do things change? And then do my feelings change? Do I feel better about that person that I used to think, had a prejudice against me, but I went and talked to him and treated him right, and maybe he's an okay person? Just starting with small things. So, as I said, I'm talking a certain amount, but really what this is all about is reading and writing. So then, down in the description of the video is a download link. I hope you'll download that link, because there's a little bit more of what I'm saying now. It explains it in a better way. I did a download before in an older video, and this edition that I wrote, I just appended to that older download. So if you download this one, you'll have both. I changed the first one a little bit. It explains, I try to explain about what I have in mind of doing and how this discussion group will work. And I don't want to, it's not a secret that's going to unfold later. And I want to make it as clear as possible. I don't know if I can with talking, but maybe with writing I can. So someday, hopefully not in the far distant future, here we are in the COVID world, we might as well talk to each other. And I propose doing it with reading and writing. And okay, I'll say one last thing, how would it work? I would envision it to be an email group, a private email group, and then I would even put it on another email so that it's the only one that shows up on that email. And then everyone in the group that writes an email will go into that, go to everyone in the group. And then each of us can comment or respond to somebody's question or affirmation, and so then each subject line will be kind of like a chain or a thread. So it'll be kind of like a forum. But anyhow, well, that'll be interesting. I think that will really be interesting. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Okay, so thanks for listening, and hope to hear from you.